Good evening, everyone. Nice to see everybody here. A lot of people in the back. Welcome to the June 12th regular meeting of the Newtown Township Board of Supervisors. We are right in the middle of what I always think of each year as a very patriotic time of year. Between Memorial Day and Flag Day, I think, is Friday, and the 4th of July coming. There's one patriotic holiday after another. So it is customary that we have a moment of silence. So if you join the board, we'll take a couple of deep breaths this evening. Thank you. Please join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Manager, do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
No changes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. That brings us right to special actions, and I see Chief Hearn and Mr. Judge Petrucci here. So please.
Thank you, sir. Tonight we're here to swear in the new police corporal. The first line supervisor is probably one of the first most important critical missions of your police department. It shares all the information down to your patrol personnel, all your mission and goals of the department. It's up to that officer to actually implement that within his or her own squad. And tonight, I'm proud to announce Nick Ciambrello will be that police corporal for the next session. Nick was sworn into Newtown Township Police Department in September of 2016. He's an active member of the Honor Guard. He's an active member of the South Central SWAT team. So he responds at all hours of day and nights for all incidents within a variety of townships within the region. He's also an instructor within our police department for many control tactics and use of force options. So I think he'd be a valuable part to our team. So with that, Your Honor, if you could. Yeah. Nick? You have your list.
Left hand Bible, right hand up. Are you good there? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Are you ready? Okay, you're going to repeat after me. I, Nicholas Ciambrello.
I, Nicholas Ciambrello,
Do solemnly swear
swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Pennsylvania Constitution,
the Pennsylvania Constitution,
the laws of Pennsylvania,
the laws of Pennsylvania,
and the governmental subdivision
and the governmental subdivision
of Newtown Township,
of Newtown Township,
including those otherwise contracted
including those otherwise contracted
by a law enforcement services agreement,
by a law enforcement services agreement,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
as a corporal
as a corporal
for Newtown Township
for Newtown Township
with fidelity,
with fidelity,
as I uphold, obey, and enforce the law
as I uphold, obey, and enforce the law
without consideration to a person's race,
without consideration of a person's race,
color, sex, or religious creed,
color, sex, or religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age or national origin,
age or national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap, or disability.
handicap, or disability.
Congratulations, Corporal. So much. Congratulations, brother.
Would we like to? Would you like to take some pictures? No, Yeah, take a 5-minute recess to gather and take some pictures. Yeah. We come back to order. Thank you. It's always a nice ceremony to have someone be promoted. That brings us to our first round of public comment. First round of public comment is reserved for things that are not on the agenda. So if you have anything that's not on the agenda that you'd like to come speak about, please remember to give us your name and what part of the township you live in.
Sure, I'm Terry Christensen. I travel with an ill-mannered dog named Twain. I live at 67 Kirkwood Drive in Newtown. And I also serve on the Planning Commission. There are, last week, the Planning Commission considered a proposal for development, BET Corners, I think it's called. And it was an extended deliberation, and I have some concerns. One is that although the traffic impact study calculations seem to be correct, I worry about the methodology. These things don't happen in a vacuum. There's a steeple view place going in, and there's a couple other apartment complexes going in, and I believe that's going to have an impact on traffic. I can tell you from anecdotal experience sitting at the corner of Center Street and State that not all traffic clears that, eastbound traffic clears that light every time, and more than once when I've been in the crosswalk with Twain, cars have accelerated to try and get through that light in a hurry. It's hard for me to believe that there won't be any impact on that intersection one stop downstream. More importantly is the methodological approach. it's hard to make an informed discernment if we're only looking through a pinhole. When we need to be able to have an informed, to provide you with an informed discernment, we need to have a comprehensive traffic impact study, something that addresses all the stuff that's going on, not just looking at the world through a pinhole camera. That's one issue. The other issue is the developers have taken the approach, and they've been, I want to say, they've been very collaborative. They've taken the approach of supplying us with a new ordinance for zoning. Late in our deliberations, my colleague Warren Dallas noticed that there was a difference in the way they calculated the density in this proposal. And if we adopt this proposal and this new way of calculating density, which takes into account other parcels around to sort of distribute it, that may be problematic in the future, and I think that's something that the board needs to pay particular attention to. We need to make certain that we are always calculating this the correct way, looking at all the ramifications. Thank you for your time. Here we go.
Thank you. I believe we'll maybe hear part of that discussion in the Planning Commission report too. I left you go on because you had, well, it's not on the agenda, but I didn't think of it being on the Planning Commission agenda. Planning Commission report, but very well. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to minor approvals. And the first minor approval we have is the approval of the pollinator garden at Roberts Ridge Park and payment for deferred, with payment from the deferred revenue account. If would be a motion, we could have some discussion, ask some questions. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second
We have a motion and a second. What questions might we have from the board?
The revenue account can be used for any purpose that we feel is appropriate? Is that how it works?
This account was set up specifically for Roberts Ridge Park.
It was?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you
It was part
very
of the
much.
development agreement.
Thanks.
And the donor, as part of the agreement, I guess it wasn't a donation, but it was, as part of the agreement, they specified that Roberts Ridge Park would be.
Yeah, it was part of the land development agreement.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm in favor of a pollinator garden. I understand the meaning and the usefulness of them. It just seemed like a lot of money to me for that. Have we, I know we don't need to go out to competitive bid, but have we looked at other bids to see if we can get a better deal on that rather than spend close to $90,000?
I think I can answer that. This is someone that has donated her time and resources to do a large part of this for free. So the design and a lot of the work is being done for free, and we are only paying for the plants themselves. So that includes the preparation of the land, the tilling, killing the grass by whatever method she chooses to kill the grass, and tilling the land, as I said, putting down wood chips to preserve the part that's already been tilled to make sure that no other grasses grow back. So there's a lot of preparation for this, which is for free. She's doing this for free. As I said, everything has been for free, except we are paying for the plants. The labor, it's a community event, and the community is donating their time to plant the plants, as we have done with the 32 trees that we have already installed in Roberts Ridge Park, which was a community event. and they're all doing stunningly well. They were all done in preparation for perhaps in the future we could do a pollinator garden because they're oak trees. Oak trees are symbiotic with the relationship with birds and the whole cycle of life that goes on there. So I would say you could not get this for $9,200. This is a $30,000 project. So a lot of this is her liking the community aspect of this and willing to put something towards it. This was not something that was planned. I had mentioned it to her just because she was giving a lecture, and she said, let me go up and take a look. And when she looked, she said, well, I love the idea that the community is involved in this, and she would like to help us make it something that is educational for kids or anybody that wants to know how the food chain works and how the birds survive and all of that. And it's beautiful in nature. It's not a wildflower garden. It's a pollinator garden. So each plant serves a purpose. And as I said, the community is going to be involved in planting and taking care of this insofar that it needs care, and it doesn't. It's relatively self-sustaining. So there's very minimal things we have to do to make sure just once a year that the margins are kept clean, and that's pretty much it. It dies and then it grows, and it dies and it grows, and it stays in that one area, and it's going to be a beautiful thing for everybody.
I do like to hear about the community involvement. I think that's a key thing.
Yes.
The proposal does, however, list labor total and a dollar amount.
The labor total in the dollar, it's not really labor in the dollar amount. It's more of a lot of this has been changed. This is the initially what she presented. We thought we had about $13,000. We don't. We have about $9,200. And so she has changed her plans accordingly. And like I said, it's all going to fit all of that, including labor, plants, and everything. And like I said, the labor is intensive in so far as, putting vinegar down to clear the grass, then covering it with plastic. And there's many people that are going to have to do this. This is not how it was originally planned, but that's how, because some people had some comments about using an herbicide. So that's how it's going to do it. So there's a little more labor that was originally going to be, so.
All right, so I'm not clear. What I have in front of me that we're proposing to vote on says we're spending $2,600 for 40 hours of labor at $65 an hour. Are we not voting on this right now, or?
We are voting on this along with the whole, it's a whole entire package. So as I said, most of the labor is already done. She's used satellites to do a projection, using their skill, and that is what they do. Their job is doing meadow conversions and things like that. So yes, we are paying a certain amount of money, but the money that it would actually cost to do this project is over $30,000. So what we are getting for this, plus the free consultation and design, and this design can be picked up and used anywhere and everywhere, and we plan to do that if we can in other parts of the township. So this is of no charge to us. It's not proprietary. It's proprietary because she gave it to us, and she said you can use this wherever you want. So all in all, the value that we are getting for that amount is incredible. It would cost a lot more if she didn't volunteer all of these services.
Okay, thanks.
I had a couple of questions. First of all, you just mentioned that you're going to go with vinegar as or she's going to go with vinegar as the, quote, herbicide, but it's not an herbicide, it's a natural process. So the use of Roundup, which I think she initially proposed, is not going to happen.
which is unfortunate because she's licensed to do that, and she knows how to do it properly, and we would cordon off the area. She's dressed in like a, scientific suit with a, she does everything that is according to law and what she is licensed for. But we had pushback on that, so she said, hey, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch the Roundup part of it, and I'm going to do it in a different way. And either way, the grass will be killed and the area will be prepared in the correct manner.
Right. Also, a couple of documents have your name, I guess, as the contact person. Will that be changed to Newtown Township?
Absolutely. It was just by chance that we met. As I said, I saw her at a lecture. We got together. She came to the park. I was the one there talking to her. But this is fully endorsed by the EAC, and other EACs in the area are going to come help us plant. They're going to, and in turn, we're going to help them. It's, as I said, community-driven. We've already put 32 trees in the park. The community has. And every single one of them is alive and growing and thriving. And it's because we have taken such good care of them. And when you plant trees, it doesn't just involve putting a tree in the ground. There is a lot that goes on after that. Trees have to be watered continuously for at least a year. Mulching is needed. Deer fencing is needed, especially around here. There's a lot of work that goes into trees. So that is why this pollinator garden is self-sustaining. It doesn't need work from Public Works. And pretty much we have a whole community that is ready to do what's needed to take care of it.
I noticed some Girl Scouts did a pollinator garden in Washington Crossing State Park recently. So this is something that's prevalent these days. I did have, I guess, one other question. The bottom line when I added up the numbers here in the proposal was $9,180. $9,180. I just want to make sure that I was correct with that.
I believe that's the correct number, right? Yes. Yes, okay. The top was 9,200. We couldn't go. We thought we had about 13,000. We didn't. So we adjusted the plan to reflect the 9,200 instead of the $13,000.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
I know I myself, and I know the board at times, have always been proponents of hiring local talent. And I noticed that this woman comes from Stockton, New Jersey, which is maybe 45 with traffic, could be an hour away. So, I mean, she's gonna have some travel time to get here. And I'm just wondering why we didn't look for someone in the area. I'm sure our Newtown area, surrounding area, has a lot of landscape architects and so on that could probably have done this, but we're going outside of the area to hire someone who doesn't even live in Newtown. The other thing is, we never had a chance to vet this person. I mean, we get Boy Scouts that come up here and do projects, and they come up to the podium and they make a presentation to the board, and the board unanimously grants them permission to do this. This was never brought to the board for any kind of discussion. It was just slapped on us with this invoice, again, from a person from Stockton, New Jersey, of which I'm sure we even have someone on our planning commission who is a landscape architect that I believe would probably be willing to help. But the board has never had a chance to speak to this person. I mean, when we had talks about the AV system, we had the gentleman come down from up there and stand at the podium and we questioned them. But for some reason, this woman is is immune from us either asking her questions and grilling. And with all due respect, no supervisor should be the representative for a person who's getting paid by the township to do this work. So I appreciate you giving us this information, but you're not the person doing the work. This woman here, Brittany O'Donnell, Garden Design, is doing the work, and she should be up there answering our questions. I don't need a long explanation. I don't need to be told that trees need to be watered or anything like that.
I can give you a short explanation.
But you shouldn't be given the explanation because you are not the person doing the job.
I
She
agree.
is.
No, I agree. She had some unfortunate, threatening types of communications from people that should not have brought this outside of township business, and that made her very apprehensive to come here. And that is why she's not here to be nailed against the wall. She's here because she's giving us a lot of work for free, which nobody, of course, we've never asked anybody else to give us thousands of work for free to do this, but it's not a regular hiring event. This is something that somebody is volunteering their services for. I very highly doubt that we're going to have anybody else in this township or from outside this township that will volunteer thousands of dollars in their design experience and the work that she has to do.
Again, thanks for the explanation, but I guess I'm not as clairvoyant as you are to know that there is no one out there that would do this, especially as someone who lives in the township that would donate their time and expertise to do this. We put together a playground in Roberts Ridge, which was donated by a lot of people, their time. So there are people within this township that would be willing to donate their time and their expertise to doing something like this. Now, again, if this woman cannot come here and be afraid that someone's going to confront her, she should be answering questions that we have of her. Not sitting somewhere, Stockton, New Jersey, can't even watch us. I don't even think are we on in Stockton, New Jersey? I don't think so. But if she doesn't have the wherewithal to come here, how is she going to have the wherewithal to travel maybe every day from Stockton, New Jersey to take care of this? I just think we didn't look at any other people that could do this. We never put anything out there to ask for any other help. Again, this was just thrown in our laps, and we have to take what she's going to give us. The other thing is, I think we do have a meadow planned for that area. Is that correct, Mr. Manager?
Yes,
and a meadow is in some form of a pollinator garden.
No.
A meadow will perform probably the same functions of which we have planned to have be done. But I don't know, I just think that we didn't research this enough, we didn't inspect it enough, we didn't vet it enough, and we have never spoken to this person. Like I said, we've had Boy Scouts building little bridges over little creeks that have come here to give us plans and have gone to the Planning Commission and have gotten, feedback from us, from the Planning Commission, from the Park and Recs Department. This stealth person hasn't shown up anywhere. And I just think someone who wants to do business in this township, free business maybe for us, but I'm sure she's going to try to parlay it into doing business and paid business throughout the township. I'd rather see it go to a business person that is in our township. And then we hear that we're not business friendly. Well, this is a business too. And we have people that do this business, but we bypassed it that goes directly to this person, of which, is she here? Is this person here? No. I wouldn't even know what she looked like if she did show up. I don't know. When we say we want to support local, why aren't we looking at this?
Can I ask a question of the manager? You mentioned the Meadow project. Who is going to do that project? Has that been bid out?
No, DCNR has a contractor as part of the grant.
Does that contractor ever come here and explain the meadow process?
No,
Do we plan to do that?
I don't know.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people that we hire who are not township residents. We even have employees who are not township residents. So I don't see any problem with that particularly.
I understand what you're saying, Mr. We have police officers who are not township residents. But the whole thing is, we do have landscape architects that are township residents. And one sits on the planning commission, who I believe, I can't quote for instance, but I believe he had said he would have volunteered his work to help with this.
Well, I certainly was there in front of the planning commission, and nobody has
And
contacted me.
you shouldn't have been doing the presentation
That you
in
were
front-
right about, but
in
it
front
wasn't a
of-
presentation.
And it wasn't on the agenda. You tried to get it in,
No.
and it wasn't on the agenda. And you tried to get it on a conversation with the planning commission on that particular evening. You shouldn't be presenting it because, again, you are not the person doing the work. Unless, I don't know, unless you are personal friends with this Brittany O'Donnell, I have no
No, I'm
idea.
not. And I am doing a great part of the work, as I have always done in Roberts Ridge Park. And again, I don't know where her employees live, but it's 30 minutes from here. She is going to do the work. She's got her time frame. She's fitting us in. She has volunteered, as I said. I met her at a lecture, and she is preeminent in what she does and very sought after for that. As far as the meadow, as you mentioned, a meadow is not a pollinator garden in any way, and it does not do that job. There are no trees in a meadow. Oak trees are needed as far as pollinator gardens because that is part of the circle, how it works with birds and the plants and the oak trees, and it all makes that cycle of life. So we already have the oak trees. We certainly can't afford to go, buy trees as well. We have a plan that is already there, and it's been there since 2019 when the community got together to plant those trees. And the logical next step was to, and it was always in the minds of the community to do this as a next step. We just didn't know how we were going to do it until this person volunteered their services to help us, and then our community stepped up and said, yes, we will help you, the Boy Scouts, the STEAM departments at our schools, Goodnow Elementary, just name it. People are coming out to help. I've heard from people from the borough, then from the township, who are all so excited about this. It's a learning experience for our children and for our adults, and it's only positive in any way that I can see. As far as if you want to ask other people to put out bids for the amount of work she's doing and what she's charging, I can assure you, you're never going to get anything that fits within our meager budget for that.
I think the main point is that this is going to benefit Newtown. It's not going to benefit Stockbridge or wherever that town is. It's going to benefit the people and the children in Newtown. And that's what's important for us, I think, rather than who is hired. I mean, a street paving is done by companies out in the boondocks. I don't know where they're from, who they are. But, I think the main issue is who benefits from this.
Okay, I'd like to open it up to the public. Is there any public comment? Please come to the microphone and state your name and where you're from.
Johnny April, Newtown Grant, biggest to the best. Could somebody explain to me, saying on the agenda here, payment from deferred revenue account. Somebody explain that? Whose deferred revenue? Is it earmarked just for this pollinator garden or Roberts Ridge, or is it for the whole township?
It was part of an agreement with the owner of the NAC, who took down, I think, 23 trees when he was doing some work at the NAC. And in lieu of those 23 trees that were removed, he set up a fund for Roberts Ridge Park to...
Just for Roberts Ridge?
Yes.
I'm going to ask Jim about that. You know, I brought it up before. You know, you say, no, great for the children. Got to remember, most of the township lives on the other side of the borough, not this Roberts Ridge side. So what children? Is it the children of that small area right there? Or, you know, you inviting other people over. I mean, there are parks on the other side of, you know, the borough. You know, what would the annual upkeep of this garden be? It's self-sustaining. Self-sustaining. Okay. When they said they were going to build, not build, they were going to let the drainage area over there be the meadow. And a lot of residents were up in arms saying it was going to bring all kinds of insects and wildlife and all that stuff. What about this pollinator garden? It's going to bring the same thing.
A closed system in which all of these, the birds, the insects, the trees, the pollinators, they work together to create, as I call it, the cycle of life that is needed for food production, for our climate, for all over the world. We're bringing a little bit of it here. We have one of the greatest and the only wildflower gardens in Washington's Crossing State Park, the only one of its kind, as a matter of fact. So what we're doing is bringing a little bit of that to Newtown Township, and
it's going to cost us approximately $13,000. How much is this woman getting out of that?
She's getting...
This no-name, this Miss O'Donnell that nobody knows, except you.
I don't know what you're talking about. Here you go. You want to know? Here you go. I mean, she's known in her field. She's an expert in her field. She does this as a
I never
living.
heard of her. I mean, most of the people up there never heard of her.
Well,
I mean, you know.
you didn't go to the lecture at Friends Village where Doug Talley...
Yeah, and I give lectures too, you know.
A lecture, yes.
As a point of order, the amount is $9,200. I said $9,180, $9,200, and my thought would be the next time we want to do a pollinator garden, we look at places on the other side of the township, like maybe the library tract off Wrights Road, and we put a pollinator garden there.
It's
next
dedicated
to
open space now.
I don't think that would.
Got a big sign hanging up there, dedicated open space.
Okay.
Now you want to build something there.
No,
It's a pollinator garden, so
it's not a building.
That doesn't conflict with open space.
Well, it's bringing traffic in there. It's an open space. It's just, you know,
There's a
open
parking
for
lot.
anybody to
Okay.
walk in or whatever. And when you want to put something in there, you know, it's not taken away from
Chairman,
what the sign says.
I think there's another public commenter waiting
Yes.
to make a comment.
I just
Well, it's
wanted
talking
to let
about
Mrs.
pollinator
Edwards-
garden, and, I just don't see using taxpayers' money for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and where you're from. No, it's not. Now it is.
I'm Ann Edwards. I live on Essex Place in Headley Townhouses on the east edge of Newtown. I'm also president of the Martha Washington Garden Club. The members of this club number about 85. Unfortunately for you all, most of us are older than younger. But we have within our membership probably 7 or 8 certified master gardeners. We have a woman who is, I don't know, maybe the assistant manager, I'm not sure, out at Washington's Crossing Garden Center. We have a woman who lives on Liberty Street here in Newtown named Rami Cobb, and probably shouldn't give her name because I haven't talked to her. She is one of the most outstanding people I've ever met who knows so much about plants. My point is that, also there is a small Newtown Garden Club. There is another very active garden club in Langhorne. I think it's called Four Lanes End or something like that. Anyhow, there's a wealth of talent that could help in some way. Frankly, most of us are not doing much on the knee bending and the pulling weeds anymore, but we have other people that we could probably tap into to help out. Whether we could come up with a designer, I suspect we know some, but I don't personally, unless the lady out there at the Washington Crossing Garden Center could do it. Deborah, she's phenomenal. But all I'm saying is, it sounds like you've got a good plan going. Frankly, I didn't know I needed my hearing aids tonight, and I am having a wee bit of trouble understanding your words, but I get the gist. If there's anything that we could do to help out, we would be glad to. Okay?
And your name is Ann? Ann Edwards?
Ann Edwards.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other discussion from the board? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the pollinator garden for Roberts Ridge Park and payment from the deferred revenue account, say aye. 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 Any opposed? No. Motion carries 3-2. And we'll work with the township manager to make sure that all the paperwork is in order. Okay, that brings us to the Historical Architectural Review Board. All right, doing double duty tonight, Mr.
I am. Bill couldn't be here tonight, so he asked me to read the report.
Yep.
The HARB met this morning. The only thing on the agenda was Sales Up LLC, that is 159 North Sycamore Street. At its June 12th meeting, the HARB board voted to recommend that the Board of Supervisors grant a certificate of appropriateness to Sales Up for the painting of the doors in HC 149 Buxton Blue. This is the building at the corner of Jefferson and Sycamore that used to be all peeled. The paint was all peeling. There is a new owner there. He has cleaned this building up considerably. It's been painted and rehabbed, and it looks very nice compared to what it used to look like. So we did approve the color for the front doors.
Mr. Chairman, if I may suggest a motion would be appropriate for the board's consideration. Be a motion to grant the application of Sales Up 159 LLC for a certificate of appropriateness conditioned on compliance with HARB's memo dated June 12th, 2024.
Someone like to make that motion? So moved. Do we have a second? I'll second. A motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion from the board?
Just one quick question, maybe Mrs. Driscoll. What is Sales Up? What do they do?
That's it.
Oh, hey, why don't you come up and...
Yeah, come on up.
I'm going to be hiding in the corner here. I'm Scott Henderson. Sales Up 159 is the LLC that owns the building. My intent is to put it up for lease. It's currently up for lease right now, to find a good tenant who will use that building appropriately. I think that there's a great opportunity for that building to do a lot more in this community than what it has been doing. Yeah, absolutely. Trying to do right by the building. It's a great building.
I didn't recognize the building from the, on the pictures with the application. compared to what it has been. I didn't realize it was the same building.
From what I heard, that people have been trying to get that building painted since 2016. So I'm happy to be able to clean it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving this certificate of appropriateness for Sales Up, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. That brings us to reports of committees, boards, and commissions. And Peggy Driscoll's back up for the Planning Commission.
Here I am. Hi, good evening. The Planning Commission met last Tuesday, June 4th. The first item on our agenda was a conditional use for PB Newtown LLC at 20 West Road. The applicants are seeking to convert the Bed Bath & Beyond store to a pickleball club with 11 courts and associated locker room, pro shop, etc. Hours of operation would be from 6 a.m. until midnight. This club will require membership. The commission recommends that the Board of Supervisors grant conditional use approval for PB Newtown LLC, subject to compliance with the review letter of KCS dated May 29th, 2024. Next on our agenda was the BET amendment. BET, which is Bruce Etoll, attended the Planning Commission again to review the latest changes to their plan for a parking core apartment building, for which they are asking to create a new use in the joint municipal zoning ordinance rather than seek all the needed variances for the garden apartment use. The building now shows 100 dwelling units with 2 parking spaces per unit. The applicants presented their traffic studies, which showed the impact on surrounding intersections as minimal. However, they failed to include data on Newtown Borough's approved mixed-use buildings, which the PC asked for, which will exit through Center Avenue onto Sycamore Street. After a very lengthy discussion on the impacts of the proposed addition of up to 150 new residents to the township in these rental units, the Planning Commission took an informal poll, and it was 5 members to 4 to recommend that the board forward this draft amendment to the jointure, which is Upper Makefield Township and Wrightstown Township, for consideration. Among the members, it was clear that if the amendment were adopted, the applicant would still need to go through land development. We discussed requiring conditional use rather than use by right for the apartments. Any redevelopment of this property must also be reviewed and approved by our Historic Architectural Review Board. And other business, a few of the members were concerned about traffic problems throughout the township and would like to provide some input to the supervisors on certain changes, including reinstatement of the right turn signal or right turn on red at the Swamp Road, Sycamore Street intersection. And that was all we had.
I had a question about which intersection that was. Are you talking about the same intersection that could also be identified by Durham Road and Washington Crossing?
No, Swamp and
Swamp,
Sycamore.
down by the Lukoil.
Yeah, right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions from board members?
I'm sorry, the right turn only, which intersection?
There's no
you talking
turn on
about?
red there now, I believe.
Where is it again? By
Swamp and Sycamore.
By Lukoil.
Yeah, if you're going east on Swamp Road and you want to make a right on the Sycamore, there is a new turn on red there, and also on the other side from Sycamore to, or Washington,
Washington
on
Crossing
the other
going
side, onto Sycamore.
Okay.
Seems to be a lot of traffic back up there because you can't turn on red any longer.
All right, so you were not talking about the intersection of North Sycamore
And Durham?
and Durham, you're not talking about that one?
Well, that wasn't the main topic, it was this intersection, but that also has a new turn on red, which was recently implemented, and it's causing a lot of traffic back up there.
Well, you know, we're trying to do things to improve pedestrian safety, and I think that helps, especially actually a lot at the Silo Street, where now it's easier to turn onto Silo Street because you're not constantly getting traffic from the left when you're coming out of the shopping center. And I find it a lot easier. I had a question about the pickleball court. I think at your meeting, which I attended, it was mentioned that somebody asked a question about the traffic lining up for Chick-fil-A. How would that impact the pickleball court? And I believe the applicant mentioned something that there was plans being set into motion to add some kind of a third lane so people can bypass the Chick-fil-A lineup. Did you hear that also?
I heard that, but we have not seen anything, nothing like that has come into the planning.
I don't know, does anybody know anything about that?
They have filed a grading permit to remove some of the landscape islands and then to create those extra lanes. So
And
yes,
so
it has been filed.
It's
Yep.
going into effect.
Yep, and
essentially.
construction starts soon.
Okay, I just needed to confirm that. And with regard to the corners at Newtown Apartments, what was it's the measurement called the housing units per acres. What was that, 18.7? Is that what the density is right now?
I believe that's correct.
So it started off as 20 housing units per acre, or, and I believe...
They started with 160 apartments, they reduced it to 120, now they're down to 100. But, I mean, the Planning Commission has a lot of concerns about the density. Garden apartments are permitted on that lot. They are currently there. Cambridge Place, they are apartments. What they're proposing, they have crafted an ordinance for all three, our joint partners included, too. They have created an ordinance which fits exactly what they want. This is a massive undertaking. This building is huge. It's a parking garage in the center, surrounded by the apartments.
It's a parking garage sandwich, basically, which they claim we need a new use for. Essentially, that's what they want to do
Right.
to amend.
Because what our ordinance provides isn't what they want to build.
Yes, and that seems to be what a lot of developers want. They want us to change our zoning so they can build what they want to build.
I mean, they did a traffic study, and they said that what they came out with was 32 trips in the morning, 32 trips in the afternoon. I mean, we're talking 100 apartments. You figure everybody has probably 2 cars. So, I mean, their numbers are kind of ridiculous. I don't know where, they're coming for that. And something else we really need to keep in mind is that parcel behind this particular parcel in the front where the Citizens Bank and Jake's and Domino's, BET also owns that. And I believe that they, I made some notes here, they used that in their calculations for density, even though it's not going to be developed, so I guess.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that. They're not going to get rid of Domino's, are they? I mean,
Well,
God,
they
that's my
own the
favorite
parcel.
Pizza. No.
That it's not part of this plan, but they do own that parcel, so you can.
So they use that acreage to do
And
that calculation of housing
Am I correct?
units per acre.
Let me ask our engineer.
I would have to double check to confirm, but that does sound accurate.
Doesn't sound kosher to me, why they would do that. Didn't nobody advise them how to do the proper calculation?
I mean, this also has to be approved by
Our joint partners.
our joint partners, and we already have a letter from the solicitor for Wrightstown Township that they are not in favor of this ordinance.
I have a question about the ordinance. I'm not clear on that. Can you explain why the developer is asking for this specific ordinance?
So they can build what they want,
So just all the things that aren't currently allowed?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they, like I said, they can build apartments there, apartments are permitted there.
And another question, in the poll, you said, the unofficial poll you took at the planning commission, in planning to send this to the joint partners for consideration.
For consideration. Well, 5 members voted to send it to our joint partners, 4 did not. I think they were okay with the concept of apartments there, maybe not this particular plan, what they are proposing. Yeah, we have some new members on the board, and, you know, being on the planning commission and learning the ordinances and everything that's involved is a learning process. So I just, I mean, the traffic study, you know, there are 78, approximately 80 apartments and 12,000 square feet of retail going in the borough, and the access to that will be on Center Avenue. So, I mean, we need accurate traffic studies.
I understand that but I believe that the main consideration has been the density of the housing.
The density, the setbacks, the impervious,
Well,
a lot.
There's a letter from the Bucks County Planning Commission that specifically opposed this because they mentioned, I believe, that the maximum density of housing in Newtown is like 3 or 4 housing units per acre. Is that correct?
Correct. This plan, this ordinance that they are proposing is 8 times the density permitted there. And now that they're using the density from the back parcel, which is not included in this development, I would suspect that it's higher. Is that correct, Dominic?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more time?
The density proposed on this ordinance as it is now is 8 times more than what is permitted there. And if they are using that back parcel in their density calculation, because they own it.
Well, 8 times, 10 times, it's a big times.
Yeah.
And the Bucks County Planning Commission, I want people to remember, they criticized this
They did.
for being too dense, basically is what they're saying. And we'll bring this up later when we're discussing the overlay district, where the Bucks County Planning Commission says that 20 housing units per acre is acceptable in that plan. So we should just remember that.
You know, I have here in their proposal, in BET's proposal, for density, the maximum, this is what they are proposing, the maximum permitted density may be calculated using the combined lot areas of individual tax parcels that are in common ownership and whose boundaries are located within 100 feet of each other.
So they are correct in their methodology, is that right then? According to that?
According to them.
Is that what's in that ordinance they're proposing? Or is that just another statement they made?
No, this is what, in the amendment they are proposing, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, they can build there, they can build apartments there. But this, like I said, this has to be approved by Wrightstown Township and Upper Makefield too.
Right.
And we already know that Wrightstown is not in favor of it. And we have nothing in writing yet. I haven't seen anything in writing yet from Upper Makefield.
So this is a text amendment to the ordinance that would allow them to do what they want to do. Along with that, they also have a sketch plan, or what amounts to a sketch plan, I think. Not much more than that, of what it would look like. And they've done a traffic study. I just want to be clear that the Planning Commission did ask for the traffic study from the borough for Steepleview.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, they did a traffic study as conditions as it is now. I mean, you have to include the, what's going to happen in the borough there. It's
Right.
going to have a major impact on that intersection.
And just to reiterate, we have a letter from Wrightstown basically saying.
From their solicitor.
Basically negative about this development. And the Bucks County Planning Commission was not
Not in favor of it.
not in favor.
I mean, I can read you some of Wrightstown's letter if you want, what they listed.
I think we have a ways to go with this project. I think it'll be back here numerous times.
Yeah, we've already seen them, I think, 3 times in planning.
Yep.
So we're trying. You know, it needs to fit there. Also, this is our historic district. I mean, this is this project is, what they're proposing as it is huge. It's going to loom over Sycamore Street. And is that what we want to do to our historic district? I mean, we've tried to preserve, all we have is Sycamore Street in the township. And I think we've done a good job trying to control development on there, and this is,
Let's be clear, is that part of Sycamore Street, which is South Sycamore Street, is that a historic district?
yeah, from Sycamore Street, from Durham to Barclay, I believe.
Okay. Any other comments for our Planning Commission report?
Can you repeat once again what the vote was exactly for?
5 members were okay to send this to the other townships for consideration, 4 were not.
And that's not just for the traffic study, that's for the whole shebang.
As I understand it, they mentioned that they were going to go, perhaps, to the other townships to make presentations. Is that correct?
That's what they said, yeah, they want to go to Wrightstown and Upper Makefield.
I guess they are allowed to do that.
Sure.
Sure.
I'll try to attend those meetings. I'll be anxious to see what their reaction is.
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Any other? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We gave you triple duty tonight with a long report. Okay, that brings us to reports of board members. I have a chairman's report just basically listing that I've been fairly busy. On May 20th, I believe, was the police memorial service at St. Andrews. I attended that. Later that next week, I participated in the Memorial Day Parade. Then a couple of days after that, a couple of others in the room and myself attended a bridge dedication on Barclay Street. There's a bridge that was named for a Vietnam vet who gave his life. Week before last, I attended a meeting on blue zones, and that's about socially determined health factors. And the last meeting I attended was the Planning Commission last Tuesday. So I received that report firsthand. Lastly, I'd just like to thank Ms. Snyder for chairing the meeting a couple of weeks ago when I was out of town. So thank you. I'll pass the baton to you.
Monday night, the EAC met about preparation for the pollinator garden and are reaching out to all volunteers throughout the borough and the township that have, and I'm very grateful to them for offering their support. We've had many people from all over wanting to be involved in this, and it was a nice thing to see the community coming together once again for that. Might I say that the EAC is, of course, completely, for this project and can't wait for it to start and to be involved in it. Also, we had an excellent tour of the Northampton Firehouse, the new Northampton Firehouse, and which was state of the art. and indicative of what we're going to need in the future for the protection of our firefighters, including things like hot and cold zones where the contamination from smoke and other, like PFAS, does not get into the other half of the building, which is called the clean zone. And the health of our firefighters is, you know, on the line here because of what they're subjected to every fire they go to. So I wanted to mention that, along with, of course, the Planning Commission, other meetings that I have attended. That's pretty much it, Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Mack?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Sunday, I attended the Welcome Day, Newtown Welcome Day. I think Ellen Snyder was there as well. And I was fortunate enough to get a little rubber ducky for my Jeep Wrangler from All Saints Cemetery. They're going to have some kind of open house, I think, around June 25th. And while I was negotiating getting this duck, this little ducky, I was reminded that I might need their services sooner or later. So I think I'm going to attend that open house. But last night I attended the Rolling Stones concert in Lincoln Financial Field. It was great. Didn't get home until 1 o'clock in the morning. Stayed up real late.
Well, I'm done that way. Mr. Davis, anything?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Calabro?
Mr. Chair, I have nothing to report, but I'd just like to make a statement, and maybe we could discuss it at another time under old business. But in the past, we have had a discussion about having someone from the Artesian Water Company come here and give us some sort of report on the state of our water. And the reason I'm asking is I do notice that Mr. Mack has had it on his website, but every once in a while, although I'm not trying to alarm anyone, I do have a little bit of a taste of chlorine in my drinking water. And I'm just wondering, and maybe Mr. Mack, I know you've been researching it, maybe there's something that you could add to this, but I still think someone from the Artesian Well company should come here and give us a state of the water, so to speak. But Mr. Mack, if you have anything to add.
Well, I agree with that. I haven't been pushing that lately, but they used to put up data from all their wells, and they stopped doing that, I think, in the second quarter of 2022. But they are coming back with removing all these contaminants with that new filtration. I'm not sure about the chlorine. I know the water is very hard. There's lots of minerals in there. And I'm assuming that the filtration's also removing that. But I haven't noticed that. I don't know, maybe do they come and test the water if you ask them?
Yeah, I know they've done it in the past, but this was before when Newtown was in the building boom, so to speak, back in the late 80s. Developments actually sent out their water to be tested. I know Newtown Grant and Society Place, we sent it out to different labs to be tested. But I think it may have been last year sometime in the Yardley area, which I think they're American water or something. I think there was a tinge of chlorine in their water, of which they had warned the people not to drink until it was taken care of. And I work in the Yardley area, and I tried not to drink the water that was in there. But, I mean, and maybe I'm just, again, I'm not trying to send up any alarms, but sometimes I do taste a little bit of a tinge of chlorine maybe in our drinking water. And I know that we could have a certain amount in there, but I don't like to have the taste of the chlorine in there. And maybe somebody from the
What's it taste like?
well, just jump in a swimming pool.
I know what it smells like.
Yeah, jump in a swimming pool and take a gulp of the water. And
Well, yeah, there could be other things in the swimming pool.
well, that's true too.
Especially with babies around.
Well, that's when they clear it out. So, But I think maybe if, Mr. Chairman, if you would ask for someone to come from the Artesian Water Company to give us a report, that would be fantastic.
We'll make those arrangements. I have been asking, and I think we were waiting for them to come do a presentation. I forget what, they had a new building that they needed. We thought we could do both at the same time, but if the land development is going to take a while, we can bring them in. They were just out digging my lawn up last week, so. And there was one of my neighbors had a leak.
I just want to mention that PFAS are detected in all of our water around the area. And I mean, a great distance around the area, since we are close to Willow Grove, not real close, but what has happened there has gone through the water, certainly in Newtown. And yes, it's greatly chlorinated, and I don't let my dog drink it, so there you go.
Good suggestion. I have it in my notes. All right. I think that brings us to a public hearing.
Yes, it does, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. We have 3 public hearings this evening, board members. The first one is to consider the enactment of Newtown Ordinance Number 2024-0-4, which would establish an LI-OLI overlay district. That ordinance has been drafted predominantly by the Bucks County Planning Commission. It has been vetted by the jointure municipalities, including Newtown. It has been vetted by the respective planning commissions, and the Bucks County Planning Commission, obviously having a hand in it, recommends it. And it is before you this evening for consideration. So it would be appropriate to entertain a motion to enact ordinance number 2024-0-4, establishing the LI-OLI overlay district.
Is there such a motion? Oh, you have O-1?
JMZO, yes. It's given, no, it's given a local number. Our local Newtown number is 2024-0-4. I don't know what number it is on the JMZO docket, but this board has to enact Newtown Ordinance Number 2024-0-4.
So this is the ordinance, but it's not labeled properly.
I don't know what the jointure folks sent over. No, it's got blanks. It's JMZO Ordinance Number 2024-01, and it's got blanks for each of the 3 local numbers. The answer to your question is yes.
A question, if you could explain, hopefully briefly. Was there a motion?
No, there was no motion.
Okay, no, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Would someone like to make a motion? I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Now we can
Proceed with board discussion, and then as part of the public hearing, we'll open it up to public comment. Then we will close the public hearing and vote. Board questions and comments?
Yes.
Question, Mr. Chair, if you have a question, go
ahead.
My question is, and technically, I know this is a jointure ordinance, but as usual, my only concern is what is the benefit to Newtown Township? Mr. Solicitor.
Oh, you're asking me what the benefit to Newtown is. Currently, and I think the primary benefit here, first of all, is to allow development and economic activity. And again, these are my words, not anybody else's. But there is some vacancy in the LI-OLI area. It is not up to date zoning wise, at least in the opinion of the Bucks County Planning Commission. I think that the ask of them was to help us spur some appropriate development in that area. I think that the trend is to bring in some mixed-use development instead of just having research or office after research office, labs and things like that. I think it's to bring in some mixed uses, some commercial uses, some residential uses that are appropriate to the area. And what this does, more than anything, at least in my view from a legal standpoint, is that it creates another type of apartment use. Right now, the zoning ordinance is limited to garden apartments. That has already been challenged once, and of course that challenge was dropped when the property was acquired by the authority. But that was already challenged as being unconstitutionally exclusionary of general apartment uses. This ordinance establishes a town center apartment use. It is only permitted as part of a mixed-use development in the LI, OLI districts, but that provision for additional apartment use, I believe, makes the zoning ordinance stronger and less susceptible to challenge on an exclusionary basis based on provision of apartments.
Now, the LIOLI district is exclusive to the Newtown Township area, is that correct?
It's correct.
So, technically, Wrightstown and Upper Makefield, it would benefit them to approve this, because if they didn't, would they have to establish an LI and OLI district in their townships?
No, they wouldn't.
Okay.
They would not have to establish those districts. The district exists. It's just what uses are permitted in the district.
Okay, so we're just adjusting the usage. We're not adding on, well, we are adding on to the usage.
Yes.
But I mean, again, this is something that there should be no contention from Wrightstown and Upper Makefield because it's already established in Newtown Township.
That's correct.
Which goes back to the reasoning why the jointure was established. It was for Newtown Township to absorb density. And we've spoken about density numerous times here. But that's the reason the jointure was established, and that's the reason for Newtown Township to have been in the jointure all these years.
That's what happened. I don't know. In 1983, it was a lot different landscape around here. That's how it seems to have played out. Obviously, Newtown has the majority of the housing units in the jointure. Wrightstown serves as the heavy industrial area. Upper Makefield serves as the watershed area. I think that's pretty clear. Sure, Wrightstown and Upper Makefield have a little bit of commercial, but Newtown has the bulk of the commercial. But again, this was also part of trying to help the already existing industrial commons, we call it business commons,
understood.
To function better, yeah.
You're saying it goes back to 1983, which either is a benefit or a curse, which again, I'm a proponent for the jointure to maybe reconsider what they've been doing for the past 30, almost 40, I guess 41 years.
Yep.
And we just continue to do it at no avail. And I'll say it again, I said it before, that Newtown Township has fulfilled their duty to the jointure, and I think it's to our benefit because we are maybe considered a little type of a city because of our population and our growth. And, but I mean, I think the jointure still lives in the Stone Ages, and maybe some of these things do have to be adjusted, going back to 1983. I moved here in 1988, and when I moved here, it was just dirt. And now, look at what has happened. Yep. Apparently, they haven't grown a bit from 1983 till now. So that's why I just want to reiterate that we have the LIOLI because we were obligated to have it. to fulfill that duty.
That's where it was established originally. I think it was probably
So when
close to
when-
95, and, you know, that's
So when
where the
people
original planners.
talk about density and apartment buildings and so on, maybe they should study the history of the jointure before starting to say, I'm here, I don't want anybody else here.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
This plan I was involved with in the beginning with the Economic Development Committee, which no longer exists. And they were businesses, and we charged them with helping the businesses in the OLI district because of the economic situation where, in COVID, et cetera, more people are working from home and they have empty office space and so on. So generally, the idea was how can we help have something in the OLI district that would service employees, for example, cleaners, a deli, a dog daycare, or a beauty salon, maybe a movie theater. But then, for some reason, it got changed and we hired the Bucks County Planning Commission to come up with a plan. And for some reason, they started adding on all these uses, and in particular, the mixed-use development. And in their plan, this is a by right use. It's not something that the Board of Supervisors would be able to approve or disapprove. And the other by right use is these drive-through eating establishments. They don't call it drive-through, they call it something else because basically I think they're trying to hide something. But I don't understand the Bucks County Planning Commission. They said in this proposal that the maximum housing density will be 20 housing units per acre, whereas they specifically wrote a letter opposing development in another part of town that had 18 or 20, that had the same density. They said that's much too high. And now they propose a higher density in this OLI district.
Oh, it's two different locations.
Yeah, I know it's two different locations, but they said this is they said from the corners at Newtown that this is inappropriate because the maximum allowable units per acre in Newtown has been like 2 or 3 housing units per acre. And so it's not we don't want somebody to come here because we're here. I don't want these high-density apartment buildings that go for $2,000 or $3,000 a month, okay? And by the way, the people that are going to live there are not working in Newtown. They're not helping the businesses in the OLI district, for which this whole process began. It was to help those businesses. Mr. Clavel, you talked about helping local business and hiring local business. I don't see how this plan helps the local businesses in the business commons. I guess it's going to be turned into another shopping center like the one they have in, where is it, Levittown? What's that called over there? The mall. That monstrosity, it's going to come here with apartment buildings, drive-through restaurants. It's going to be a total mess, and I'm opposed to it.
I understand where you're concerned about people working out of the area unless there's jobs within this area that are paying enough for them to afford the $2,000 a month rents. But when they come back to the area and they get out of their cars at nighttime, they're not driving back to where they work. They're going to come into the town. They're going to come into Newtown. They're going to patronize our restaurants. They're going to patronize our shopping centers. They're going to buy whatever they need in Newtown. Now, when they go back out to work, whether it's to New York or Philadelphia or to Princeton, well, yes, of course they're going to go out and get lunch there. they're not gonna drive back to Newtown to get lunch and back to work. But when they come here, they're gonna still patronize. And if they're affording $2,000, $3,000 a month rents, then I guess they can afford to eat out all the time too. So I don't find your premise of people working out of the area and living here, that's not gonna support businesses, because they are gonna support businesses. So, I mean, I don't understand that rationale, because I don't know of any of us that work in Newtown. I don't work in Newtown. I don't know if Kyle works in Newtown. I don't know if you, well, you're retired. I don't know if Dennis is retired.
I was talking about the
So-
businesses and the business common, not the businesses.
Well, why wouldn't they patronize the businesses in the business commons?
Because they're office workers, they're insurance companies, they're different kinds of businesses that you don't go in and eat.
Well, that's what
eat
we're looking,
breakfast
that's
at.
what we're looking to change the business commons into this mixed use. And when you say drive-throughs, I believe when we do a land development, Mr. Solicitor, we do throw in a, what is it called, an E5, which doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna have a drive-through. But what it means is that they're padding in that situation and covering all aspects of the usage.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean that we're gonna have a
But
McDonald's drive-through.
they come
or
before
anything.
us as a conditional use, and we say, okay, as long as you don't have a drive-through, right? But this is not a conditional use. This is a by right use.
We still have a say in a by right. It doesn't
What
mean
kind of
just
say
a-
do we have?
Well, hold on. Both the eating place E5 and the eating place drive-in E6, which has always been interpreted as a takeout included,
Yes.
are both conditional uses in the ordinance.
Not this ordinance.
Yes,
Okay, I'm looking at page 3, uses by conditional approval. Eating place E5, eating place drive-in use E6.
I'm looking
The
at,
uses that are by right are the apartments and the
Right.
mixed use.
That's correct.
Of which, when they do still come for land development, we do still have a
Still have
say,
say.
even in use by right.
If it's new
It's not like
development,
they could
yes.
just put up a drop a building out of the sky and
Right.
put it there. We still have a say. It's by right, meaning that they have a right to build it, but we have a right to have land development
how.
and tell them how to do it.
That's
okay,
correct.
can I just mention that back in January 2024, back in October 2023, the Planning Commission presented a synopsis to the Board of Supervisors in which they said the new draft lists the 2 proposed residential uses, mixed-use development and town center apartments as by right uses. The commission feels that as this is a completely new use, we would like the township to have the extra layer of control that conditional use would add. So this is what our experts, who you say, you know, we need to pay more attention to, are telling us, have told us. And, you know, so I'm saying, why not change this to be conditional use? Those 2 uses be conditional uses.
Mr. Mack is correct. The uses mixed-use development, which is use J1, and town center apartments, use B20, are uses permitted by right. The apartments, however, are only permitted as part of a mixed-use development, so they can't be built standalone. All of the other uses, including the 2 restaurant or eating place uses, are conditional approval. The Planning Commission made that recommendation. This board authorized the ordinance to be advertised with those 2 uses as by right. A majority of the board authorized the advertisement of those 2 uses as by right uses.
Mr. Chairman, if I may chime in, I'm not in favor of this. I think I've mentioned it before. This benefits the people that own those properties in the OLI, and allows them to redevelop it and make nice kinds of money off of building more houses and more retail. I don't think we need more houses and more retail in Newtown. I don't think I want any other areas of Newtown to start looking like our little food court over here by McCaffrey's. I'm not in favor of this, and I think that's what we're doing. We're giving away too much to let them go nuts and build wherever they want along this overlay, and I think it's a mistake.
I guess I'll add my 2 cents.
And I have my 2 cents after that. So
okay.
go ahead.
You wanna go first?
No, go ahead.
Yes, I'm worried about the wording here. I'm worried about the by right and the by conditional use. You know, I thought we had mentioned before that there was a possibility of changing that phrasing to reflect the fact that we would have the last say. I'm not sure that this says that, and that worries me. I'm for having more business over there. I'm certainly for that. I certainly see the need for it. I just don't want it to be out of control. And again, these mixed-use places, we could, you know, possibly be faced with some of what we're facing now. You know, I just want it to be airtight, that we have the final say. I don't want there to be any chance that they can come in with a more dense housing, you know, site that, again, we have no control over. So, you know, is this the wording that will do the trick?
As was mentioned, I believe, by Mr. Calabro, anybody who wants to build town center apartments, if you build more than 4 units, it's a land development. There's a difference between the use itself and land development. The use in this case would be a use that's permitted by right in there. So they wouldn't have to go to the zoning hearing board to get a use variance or come to the board for conditional use approval. But once you build more than 4 units in an apartment building, which obviously a town center apartments would be more than 4 units, then they've got to come in for land development approval, and that's what Mr. Calabro was referring to. This board will see a land development application and the plans associated with it from beginning to end, and all compliance must be had, and that's why we have our engineers and our planners, with the subdivision and land development ordinance and the design provisions of the zoning ordinance are applicable to those particular developments. So will we have the last word? Yes, we will have land development.
We will not have the last word to approve or
Sorry,
not
Mr.
approve
Mack.
the
Mr.
project.
Mack, Mr. Mack, please.
No,
let
he
Mr.
keeps, I mean, he's our
Mr.
lawyer, but he keeps arguing for this
You'll
case.
get
He's not
your
a
counsel.
supervisor.
Listen, I don't have a vote, Mr. Mack. I don't have a vote. I'm just telling you that there's a difference between the use of the property and the development of the property. And I was asked whether we will have the last, we be able to review any development that comes in, and my answer is yes.
But I will ask you, do we have a right to deny the development under land development? Deny it totally?
If it doesn't comply with the subdivision and land development ordinance provisions, yes.
And we could make them, if there were variances required, we could make them build to what is in the
Sure.
ordinance.
I mean, they've got to comply dimensionally as well.
Yes.
If they want smaller setbacks, more density than is permitted, then they've got to get variances for those things. That's,
So we're going to live with a density of 20 housing units per acre in this area, whereas we are opposed to that kind of density in other areas. I guess that's what's going to happen here.
I think that's what could happen, that we would oppose something in another area and approve it here.
they're just located.
Could they take us to court, you know, like we've been seeing, to try to worm their way out of this because it's not airtight?
Anybody can take us to court anytime they think they have a viable legal argument. My concern about this is that this adds another layer of protection against a challenge on an exclusionary basis based on apartments. Right now, we have garden apartments. We hired Mr. Bagley to defend the ordinance. He was putting his best foot forward. What I think this will do will help defend against challenges that are saying, you, Newtown Jointure, do not appropriately provide for apartment uses. That's my overriding concern here. If you want to debate use by right, conditional use, other technical issues, that's fine. My big concern is that we get another type of apartment other than garden apartment on the books in the jointure.
Can I ask you a question? On North Sycamore Street, doesn't Jim Worthington have built mixed-use apartments over the jewelry shop and the pizza shop? They're all, looks to me
At the
like...
promenade?
Yeah, the promenade. That's mixed use. We have the use.
I think not in the OLI, LIOLI district. And if we don't have that use, that's when we can get challenged. Kind of like how we had to adjust the zoning where the Wawa's at, because if we didn't have that particular, we could have gotten sued for that. If we don't create this usage, that's when they could come in and say, Newtown Township doesn't have usage for apartment complexes.
Yes,
And
they
they'll
said
sue us,
nowhere
and
in
they'll-
Newtown
they'll
do
sue
we
us
have a
and-
use. That's
Hey,
why it
Mr.
was
Mack.
unconstitutional.
You're
We
talking
do
about-
have a use for mixed-use apartments in
It's
Newtown.
it's a different
Let Mr.
zoning
Calabro
area.
finish.
Who
It's a
cares?
different-
We do
What
have
you
the
mean?
use. They can't sue us because we have the
They can
use.
sue us for the use in that
not-
particular district.
It's not whether we have the use.
It's where it's at.
It's where it's not whether we have the use, it's what does the ordinance provide for. That use was a settlement of years of litigation that I was actually involved in way back then. I mean, that's a completely different situation. Just because we have a use, a mixed use in the jointure, doesn't mean that the zoning ordinance is constitutional in providing for apartment uses. And that's the distinction.
If we pass this, we're gonna have more apartments and we're gonna have more retail. And I don't think we need either of those. If there's a concern that our zoning's not doing the job, fine, let's fix it some other way. I don't think this is the right way to do it. This is just gonna blow up and it's gonna, that whole section of the town is just gonna turn into a mini mall with apartments.
I actually don't think so, but the purpose of this ordinance, and if I can find it again, I'll read it, but the purpose was to encourage new uses and to encourage compatible uses, complementary uses, and make it up to be a walkable community. We have a trail connection project of sidewalks of putting sidewalks in the business commons, so that would help with the walkability. I think an important thing, and I think we've talked around this a little bit, but an important thing that I had listed was this addresses housing needs that we have for apartments, and the apartments, there's a hole in our zone. Some might say there's a hole in our zoning around apartments, and offering them a place to be, in a place where we can have some say. I think is very important. We can, if someone brings us an apartment concept, we would have a place to show them where it would be possible to have, and we're going to get more apartment plans. I just see it coming. So I think we have to update our zoning for these future needs. Certainly the conditional use for all the restaurant uses and all those other uses are helpful, but I think we have control with the use by right, with the town center apartments being only as part of the mixed use. Two more comments. I saw in some comments somewhere that a concern for Newtown Yardley Road and the bypass. I actually believe that certainly the bypass and even Newtown Yardley Road were designed for use to supplement and meet the needs of the business commons. And we have a lot of empty space in the business commons. I see this as being the acreage that are required puts a restriction on who can build where, and the acreage of the different parcels. That's a limiting factor as well. Lastly, and this is something that we haven't talked about tonight, to deny this ordinance at this time, I just want everybody to know, if we deny it at this time, it means we have to send any revisions back to the jointure. And till we do that, we're going to have additional months of review. And we have already had one challenge to our apartment zoning. We could have another, and we could have another one after that. So I think this helps us be less vulnerable and puts in some futuristic zoning. So that's why I'm voting for it. I think whether we're voting for or against, I just want to reiterate that.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
we're all, just let me finish.
Sure.
We're all looking for the betterment in Newtown.
If I may interject, and I agree that if it has to go through the jointure, not that they would want to hold it up again, because it's of no benefit to them to hold it up. And seeing the discussion we're having here, and it seems like this is almost like the first heated discussion we're having in regards to this ordinance, I think I'd like to make a motion to table this until we might have some more confidence in what this ordinance is going to do. Because it sounds like tonight we're just getting in the process of discussing this, and maybe we should take more time if we have the time, because if we defeat this or make changes, we're going to have a lot more time. But at least if we take another 2 weeks to mull it over, it's only 2 weeks worth of time that we're taking up. So I make a motion to table this ordinance so that we can digest it better and maybe get it done at another meeting.
So we have a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. We have discussion on the motion to table.
Certainly can be discussed.
Yes.
So it would take all of this time to go back and change these words by right or by conditional use, which.
It would have to.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it would have to, well, the board would have to take a vote on this ordinance tonight. If that's the change it wanted to make, it would have to advise the other municipalities that that's the change it wanted to make. The ordinance would have to be redrafted with those different words, sent to the other municipalities. It would have to go to each of their planning commissions and the Bucks County Planning Commission again, and it would have to be advertised for another public hearing by each of the municipalities.
Okay, I get that. I just recall us talking about this exact same thing before, the fact that a few of us had the issue with the by right or the by conditional use. And I guess I thought it might have been changed. Obviously it wasn't. I would like to take 2 weeks, oh, it's gonna be a month, I guess, until our next meeting, right?
Yes, it's July.
What's
10th,
the
tentatively.
what's the repercussion of waiting a month? Is there any?
Well,
Just that we're unprotected for that
Well,
time?
Correct. I mean, it would maintain the status quo of what our ordinance provides for. I don't know what could happen in that month. The other two municipalities could go ahead and enact the ordinance as it currently reads. But if in a month you decide you want to change that language, that's another month that you've added to probably what would be at least a 6-week to 2-month period to get it re-advertised for a new hearing. So that's the consideration that you need to have.
Is this purely, it may not be purely a matter of conditional use for the mixed use and town apartments, changing by right to?
Oh, that would be a
conditional use.
substantial change that would require
yes.
redrafting and
Yes.
re-advertising of the ordinance.
Would that, not, just letting go of how long it'd take to go through, would that get 3 or 4 votes of this?
Oh.
Of this board? Get my vote. Again, I don't want to.
At the moment, we have a motion.
Right.
Motion to
To table, I mean, you could defeat the motion to table and defeat this. We'll go into not just a month, probably 2 or 3 months, because it would have to be redrafted, re-advertised, resent to the others. So, I mean, if we're buying a month, we're not buying anything right now. We're sitting here arguing about this, which is good. It's a good discussion. Yeah. But I think if we table it, maybe have some more time to digest it. I don't know, maybe, like Dennis says, we have the votes for it, we have the votes for it. I mean, that's, vote on the motion to table and see where that gets us. If it defeated, then make a motion to pass this ordinance. I'll have to tell you.
Okay, we don't need to have public comment on it?
Not on the motion to table.
That's just what I was going to ask. Okay, all those in favor of tabling, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled until next month. Now, we do need to re-advertise, I'm guessing.
Oh, no, we do not. This is a continued hearing.
Okay.
It's already been opened. The hearing is open. It has not been closed. The hearing has been continued, and this is notice. This is it.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep, does not have to be re-advertised.
Okay. Moving on to the next.
Yeah, the next one is also a public hearing, and this is on another joint municipal zoning ordinance. This would be local ordinance number 2024-0-5, and it looks like it would be JMZO ordinance number 2024-03. This is to amend the impervious coverage standards in the RI district and RIA district. That's rural industrial and rural industrial agricultural, which were mistakenly labeled during codification as 50%. 5%, they should be 50%, and this is a housekeeping Scrivener's error that is being considered and is necessary for this district, which is not existent in Newtown. I believe it's only in Wrightstown. So if the board's of a mind, it would be to consider a motion to enact that ordinance to establish the correct impervious coverage in the RI and RIA districts.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a motion and a second, do we have any discussion from the board?
And we need to open it up to public comment as part of the public hearing.
Yep. Any discussion from the public about the impervious correction? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of enacting the ordinance amending the JMZO to correct impervious surface coverage in the RI and RIA zoning districts, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The final public hearing is to consider another joint municipal zoning ordinance amendment to remove the numbers from the definition section of the ordinance and just allow them to appear alphabetically. Again, this is sort of another secretarial kind of amendment. It's not substantive. It doesn't change any of the definitions themselves. It just removes the numbering so that when we have a new definition, we don't have to put in a 1.5 number or a 1.75 number. It just makes things easier as we go forward amending the ordinance. So if the board's of a mind, it would be a motion to enact local ordinance number 2024-0-6 and joint municipal zoning ordinance number 2024-02 to remove numbering from the definition section.
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? This actually makes it a little easier to find the word you're looking for a definition of. Any from the public? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of enacting the ordinance amending the JMZO to remove numbering of definitions, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That concludes the public hearings for this evening.
Mr. Chair, may I just throw something in on the
Yes.
Ordinance that we were bantering around?
Okay.
Maybe for our next meeting, it would be advisable to have someone from the Bucks County Planning Commission to attend, so maybe they can answer some questions that we have pertaining to this ordinance.
Sounds good to me. What other people? Okay.
So, yeah, so we just have to contact someone from there, and maybe the township manager could do that to appear at our next meeting.
Mr. Manager, you heard that? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. All right. In the coming weeks and months, I also saw something from the solicitor of Wrightstown, who's a solicitor of the jointure these days, this year. So we'll be seeing something about EV charging stations in the not-too-distant future, and the wireless communications ordinance, as well as maybe some progress on billboard ordinance. So we're not done this summer with ordinance yet. More on the way. That brings us to, there's an engineer report with no agenda items.
Could I just ask a quick question, which I think you've already answered? The revised plan for the Tower, Newtown Yardley crossing, rapid signaling, flashing beacons, has been submitted to PennDOT?
Yes.
The new plan. When do you anticipate you get a response from PennDOT?
They have given us a response date of July 11th. I mean, that's just typical 30-day review period.
And our meeting is July 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
They may send it early.
Can you ask
Has that
them
ever
to
happened?
get it to us maybe by July 8th?
We can certainly follow up with them to see if they can expedite that.
All right, expedite that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything for our engineer? How about our solicitor?
No items, Mr.
No
Chairman, thank you.
items. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
All right, that brings us to the manager's report.
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman.
Lewis.
General fund balance this evening is $7,610,455. Planned expirations before the board with no action required. We have Chief Hearn to give his annual, or monthly chief's report. Evening, Chief.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
May 2024 police report. We documented 2,433 calls for service in the month of May, logged just under 23,000 miles on our patrol fleet. May was a busy month. We had 29 arrests and clearances, which included 3 wanted persons, 2 harassment, 1 weapons violation, 2 indecent assaults of a minor from Jersey, 4 thefts, 5 narcotics, 4 frauds, and 8 DUIs. There were 14 new cases referred to detectives. We had 64 traffic crashes. There was 156 traffic citations issued and 294 warnings issued. We conducted 2 truck enforcement details involving 17 truck inspections, issued 2 citations and 3 warnings. There were no notable jobs or significant events for the month of May, and we had numerous community events for the month of May, including our classic car show, charity softball game, which, by the way, we won, the police department, coffee with a cop, and we had our police memorial at St. Andrew's Church. Just the other day, on Sunday, June 9th, we were also participating in Newtown Day. Moving forward, the Bucks County CAD system is finally back up and running for our police officers in their cars as a result of a cyber attack. And we continue progress with our architectural firm, making progress with our building study. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for the chief?
I'm almost afraid to ask, what's indecent assault?
Somebody touched somebody else inappropriately. You're welcome.
No other questions?
Thank
Thank you,
Chief.
sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one final item under our report this evening. Is for authorization to execute a proposal for a roof over the schoolhouse. We had allocated $30,000 in the capital plan, and our Public Works Director has a low bid quote of $14,904. So the appropriate motion is authorization to execute the proposal for the schoolhouse roof replacement in the amount of $14,940 with Contact Construction.
So moved. Second.
Have a second? Motion and a second? I did hear a second from you, Mr. Clabber, right? Yes. Okay. Any discussion from the board?
I'm sorry, where's the schoolhouse?
On the other side of the police building?
South side of the police building.
Is that what you call it, a schoolhouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Used to be.
What do we use it for now?
Storage.
And there was a budgeted amount of $30,000, is that what I remember? And I saw the other 2 bids came in like 20,000, and so this was the low bid. Any other discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of authorizing to execute proposal for schoolhouse roof replacement in the amount of $14,940 with Contact Construction, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0.
That's all we have under our report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Mr. Secretary Treasurer, you have a report for us.
My favorite time of the evening. I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 22nd, 2024 Board of Supervisors meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any from the public? I will be abstaining. I was not here. I did listen to it and watch it. No comments. Call the question. Those in favor of approving the minutes of the May 22nd, 2024 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I will be abstaining as well.
And 2 abstentions.
Okay. I make a motion to approve our bills list dated June 12th, 2024, in the amount of $983,110.33.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion from the board?
I have a question on page 12 regarding Video Gold Productions, April Consulting Video Audio Proposal Upgrade Assessment for $2,885.75. This looks like, is Video Gold charging us to prepare proposals to upgrade the AV system?
No, that was for review of the equipment that was submitted by the vendors. To be sure it's compatible.
They did a review, they ordered equipment
No, the township ordered the equipment.
based on the recommendations from
Video
Video
Gold.
Gold,
Right,
and you got exactly what they told you to get,
yes.
and yet they still had to verify it
There's,
somehow?
some of the equipment was didn't exist anymore, so there were some alternates that needed to be resubmitted.
I get it. Okay, thank you. The other thing I wanted to say is thanks for the work done on the Wexley Drive and Marion Place in my development, which had a number of potholes, but I still think that these streets need to be repaved, and hopefully that will be done in 2025. I understand it won't be done this year. Anyway, those are my comments.
We have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills as listed on the bills list of June 12th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-1.
Okay, finally, I move that we approve the funds transfer of $909,424.96 as per the June 12th, 2024 bills list.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion from the board? Any from the public? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor of paying our bills as listed on the interfund transfers, or approving the interfund transfers of June 12th, 2024, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, that brings us to our second round of public comment. I did notice that we had 1 or 2 emails. One, and is that the one from Melissa Merriman? And that's pertaining to the OI. Okay. Let me find that one, because I had 2 from her. Okay.
So the time of the email was 7:59 PM.
Okay, I got it. Good evening. Please find below a public comment received. Okay, let me hit my dots. There we go. It's from Melissa Merriman, Wiltshire Walk, Newtown, PA. I am opposed. That's not the. The one I have is for LIOLI at 7:59. Okay, hang on. Please find below. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this works. No, it keeps reverting back to. If someone else has it, it keeps,
I'll read it, Mr. Chairman. Attracting new business to the Commons is a nice idea. I urge the Board of Supervisors to work with property owners in the Newtown Business Association to achieve this goal. Many medical, pet, childcare, restaurant, wellness, and business offices existed there successfully for decades. This area is appropriately zoned to coexist with the residential communities that border it. Mixed-use, multi-level buildings, high-density apartments, drive-through restaurants, signs, and any other change would significantly disrupt the residential area and Newtown at large. The existing infrastructure, schools, roads, pedestrian walks, law enforcement, public service is at its maximum. Rezoning is not the answer.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, other public comment?
John DeApril, Newtown Grant, biggest and the best. What about the loudspeakers? Weren't they supposed to improve the loudspeakers in here? You know, it's hard hearing back here now.
They're coming on their way.
And, you know, so, you know, it's about time, you know, get moving on that. I forgot to bring it up. I noticed the motion's passed and everything. Let me tell you about my incident with the voles, not the moles with an M, it's voles, V-O-L-E-S. Okay, they're like miniature moles. They're small like mice, smaller maybe. Okay, I live on the corner in a townhouse, and when I first moved here, I had flowers in the back. Didn't get much sun, but a lot of impatiens and other things. And go to water them, and see these things run out. What are they, you know? And a lot of people couldn't believe me because they're brand new townhouses and everything, and you know, voles. So I asked the landscaping guys, what about these voles? Oh, you're gonna have a hard time getting rid of them. Main thing is get rid of the flowers. So I got rid of the flowers. So those flowers that you're planting over Roberts Ridge, hope you don't get voles, but it's a possibility. That's why I brought it up, that insects and, you know, wildlife and everything like that. You know, talk about the LIOLI now. You know, the Planning Commission worked on that thing for years, it seemed like, before I got on, and they spent a lot of time on it. And you should have listened to your solicitor when he's explaining things. I know one of you guys weren't, but you know, you even have the Planning Commission solicitor here. You could have asked him instead of just kicking the can down the lane over there. You know, how long the Planning Commission worked on this? How long have you supervisor had this? A lot of you guys come to the meetings. Phil was supposed to come at the beginning. He never showed up. You know, you supervisor had this thing. You could have looked at it. You could have had, Peggy was here. You could have asked her. She's here nearly every meeting. Did you do that? No, you're just kicking the can down there. Shame on you guys, because, you know, you were elected to make decisions, not just table them. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others? Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Any old business this evening? Any new business this evening? Seeing none, there was no need for an executive session. Without objection, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.